6 House Democrats are now asking the president not to approve any cuts to Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. Let's turn to our congressional panel tonight with 3 of the 106 Democrats who are signing on to that letter to the White House today. Congressman John Garamendi is with us tonight from California, also Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas, and Congressman Jerry Nadler of New York. Great to have all of you with us tonight. How serious is the threat to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security? Congresswoman Jackson, there's just over the next 13 days, it's a very critical time. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. You know, I was on the floor of the House and making a comment about this pending tragedy and indicated that those who have Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, they actually earned it. They paid taxes, and they actually earned it for their time of need for Social Security and Medicare. And I was blasted by those who said earned it. Well, I'm concerned because they did earn it. They worked and they deserved it. And now with this pending crisis, we know that as sequester comes and there are across-the-board cuts, and there is a attitude of looking for any dollar they can find, there is rumor that what the Republicans are looking for is not to address solvency for Social Security, but really to end it as we know it, to cut Medicare and to cut Medicaid. So I see it, Ed, as a very serious proposition. And the letter we sent to the president was to hold the ground on anything that would jeopardize Social Security for the American people.
So that really prompted the letter? So, Congresswoman, that really prompted the letter. These kind of rumors that they're going for the jugular on the big 3, and they really want to privatize this stuff. John Garamendi,
that's all they talk about.
John Garamendi, how do you get a solution when you've got an attitude like that?
Well, it's going to be very, very difficult. We have to find the middle ground. We do have a proposal that we put forward. It's basically 50-50. End tax breaks for those companies that don't need it, and make wise cuts, not in the area of Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, but in other programs that are clearly less efficient, ineffective, or just not needed now. We can do that. The Republicans are absolutely refusing to allow such a measure to come to the floor of the House for a vote, and quite possibly the Senate will also require 60 votes, and the Republicans will stop it. They're headed towards this another manufactured disaster.
How many jobs, Congressman Nadler?
Well, the sequestration, the CBO estimates the sequestration would destroy between 700,000 and 1 million jobs just by all these cuts. And it's a completely unnecessary cut. We've already cut the budget. People don't talk about this, but we've cut the budget deficit. From 2009, it was over 10% of the economy of GDP. This year, it's about 7%. Next year, it's going to be 5%. We've cut it in half. The fastest reduction in deficit since World War II, and frankly, it's too fast. We should not be doing any cuts at this point, because cuts at this point in the economy will cost us jobs, and the real problem we have is a jobs crisis, not a deficit crisis.
One word from all of you. Do you think this could walk us back into a recession if this were to happen?
Without question.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
House Speaker Boehner.
Without a doubt.
House Speaker Boehner does not sound like he's willing to compromise. Here's what he said yesterday.
The sequester will be in effect until there are cuts and reforms that put us on a path to balance the budget over the next 10 years.
Sheila Jackson Lee, how do you deal with that?
You know, Ed, I don't know why we can't be truth sayers, if you will. We've already cut over $1 trillion. Congress has already cut over $1 trillion. The federal employees have already taken $103 billion out of their salaries and contributed to the deficit. The economy is growing. The president has indicated that we have an opportunity for innovation and growth. And I believe that that is our pathway forward. If the Speaker does not want to come back to the table of compromise and address how we can both bring down the debt and grow the economy, then all we're going to be facing is a recession. And that seems to be what their direction is that they're willing to slash and burn as opposed to finding the right pathway of securing revenue, which we have attempted to do, and balance and bring down the deficit, and they won't do anything with revenue.
John,
nothing at all.
John Garamendi, where's the sense of urgency here? What are you doing on vacation?
Well, we've been told not to be in Congress. Speaker Boehner controls the agenda, controls the calendar for the House of Representatives, and he sent us home. The Democrats, I think all of us today, voted not to go home, but rather to stay and work next week.
Congressman Nadler, all right, President Obama was in Chicago today. He's pushing hard for something to get done on gun violence in this Congress. Congressman Nadler, what are your hopes?
Well, I think it's too much to hope that we'll get everything done that we need to get done, but I think it's realistic to hope that we'll get thorough background checks, which would mean that felons and mentally ill people would not be able to get a hold of guns. I think that is achievable. The assault weapons ban, banning high-capacity magazines, I can't see the Republicans going with those, though we ought to attempt it, but certainly the background checks, I think, is achievable with any kind of goodwill.
Congressman Garamendi,
I don't know, but what I do know is we need to vote. The President said it. We said it on the floor when he gave his State of the Union address. Let's vote. Put the bills on the floor, and let's see where the votes are. But I'm afraid that that's not going to happen. Now, clearly, Speaker Boehner is refusing to bring bills to the floor. In fact, since we came into session on January 6th, there's been virtually nothing that's been done other than the Sandy legislation. Beyond that, it's just been marking time. We need to put these things in, put them up, vote, and let's see where it goes.
All right, Congressman John Garamendi, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee, and Congressman Jerry Nadler, thanks for being on our congressional panel.